Is this something that people need? Is this solving a problem that people have?
Founders need to now appeal to institutions more than ever.
Why is the field littered with bodies of companies that tried this before and failed? What are you doing differently from them?
Welcome back to The Roll-Up, your home for technical talks and open conversations that shape the modular future. Nothing on today's show is to be construed as financial advice. You can see our full disclosures list at therollup.co/ventures. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode after a quick word from some of our awesome partners.
Innovating finance, global, institutional, and on-chain. Deep liquidity to drive capital efficiency. Now maximize yields on institutional-grade liquid staking with METH. Unlock $1 trillion of capital via Bitcoin. All of this secured by Mantle's treasury of billions in stables and ETH capital pools. This entire ecosystem is coordinated by a vast network of seasoned VCs that are aiming to create the next generation of banking and financial technology. This is Mantle.
All right, Amanda, welcome to Hong Kong. It's my second time here. Is it your first, second?
I've been here for the past few months, hoping to launch Serotonin in Asia. So I've been hanging out every day here.
Yeah, that was kind of my goal with coming here. Was like, okay, there's a large divide between Western and Eastern culture and crypto community. And I was like, okay, we really need to make this expansion now, because I'm sure a lot of your clients are wanting that Asia exposure as well. And so, I'm loving it. It's a great environment here. But yeah.
Yeah, I think every serious crypto project needs an Asia strategy. And then there's no such thing as an Asia strategy, because Asia obviously isn't a monolith. There are lots of different cultures, lots of different countries with different communities and dynamics. And so when you want to bring a project into Asia, it really means 10 different things. So we've been setting up a lot of infrastructure here to be able to do that, and also to take local projects in each of those markets that has local product market fit and help them go global.
Awesome. Well, man, it's your first time here on the Roll-Up. You have a really cool story that I'd love to hear about. Our audience would love to hear it. So how did you get into crypto? How did you stumble upon being the former CMO of ConsenSys, and what's your story with Ethereum?
Yeah, so when I was 24, which is almost a decade ago.
Oh my gosh. Stop, come on.
I was a knucklehead bumming around Brooklyn.
Nice.
And I ended up at one of the first Ethereum meetups because I had a startup at the time that, for various reasons, got me interested in payments to fix a problem we had with paying out our content creators. And I was like, wow, this not just solves my startup's random little problem. This is going to change everything. This is going to be the substrate for something new. And I just graduated from college a couple years prior, and I'd observed it's really hard to break into the economy, that all of these hierarchies at corporates were really calcified. Then it's hard for someone with intelligence and with drive to translate that into value. And perhaps instead of banging our heads against the wall in the current system, we can create an alternative system where drive and intelligence can translate into value, even for a young person earlier in their life. And that really inspired me. I was told that the system that I'd grown up in was the only way things could ever be. Right. Nothing could ever change. There was no alternative to it. The only alternatives, seemed to have had their walls come down in the 90s. And it didn't seem appealing. And so this was really a new world. I'd come from media and marketing, and I observed this nucleus, this kernel of people around the early Ethereum movement were brilliant, but we're not media and marketing storytelling people.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that the nascent movement didn't get eaten alive by the tech media culture, which is very adversarial, which was present at the time. And so I joined the circus.
Yeah.
And then as ConsenSys was getting serious in 2016, I joined as chief marketing officer, not because there was an open position for a CMO, but just I was around. It's not like there were people lined up for that job at the time. Just a little bit before that, ETH had done its pre-sale, and they sold $16.5 million worth of 30-cent ETH, because that's how much capital wanted to buy 30-cent ETH. And that amount sounds really low, comically low these days. And of course, everything that happens feels inevitable when you look back. But at the time, nothing was inevitable. And it was a lot of work. I was the only marketing person at ConsenSys for a little bit, kind of de facto CMO of Ethereum as well. We ended up having some early successes that enabled me to convince Joe Lubin to hire some more marketers. And that's how our little department was born.
Oh, really?
And then 4 years later, having run a lot of launches, token sales, enterprise deals, government deals, decided to leave and start my own company, Serotonin, to try to bring those best practices to the next generation of companies. I had this light bulb moment that there were good startups being created outside of the ConsenSys ecosystem. And I know that sounds obvious too, but when you're inside that kind of insular community, it takes a minute to realize that. Then hired back a bunch of my original team. So a lot of us have been working together for like 8 years, and then started Serotonin. And so now about 2/3 startups, about 1/3 institutional. And we do every type of marketing, but also recruiting and legal.
Nice. Cool. So we have a very different landscape today in crypto than we did back then. As you said, like nothing seems obvious in the moment, but when you look back, it's like, oh, how could I not have been there? Or how could there have not been more capital wanting to invest into Ethereum?
Yeah.
Wanting to, how could there not be more marketers wanting to take advantage of this opportunity? Because there were so many marketers in New York City, probably, marketing the entire spectrum of products on the market in everyday goods and services. And there's this sliver of opportunity that, whether it be butterfly effect, right place, right time, you're able to take advantage of that. And right. So that's props to you for that. And then, kind of stepping out. And so that journey is probably shaped Ethereum in more ways than you really know. No?
Yeah. I look back and think there are two kind of stories. One is did what we do accelerate the publicity around Ethereum too much too fast? And did it take something that was partly cooked and expose it to the world before it was done in the oven? Did it bring in too much money too quickly and make the space too much about the money, too little about the tech? Did it bring in grifters with it? Was I the first grifter in it to even care to commercialize it, right? And and I remember when I first started, when I interviewed with Joe, I said, I want to make Ethereum like Starbucks on the MLB in terms of how well it's known. And that was like a comedy routine at the time. ConsenSys, like the Ethereum Foundation, was very academic. Everyone's academic. I was the most commercial person there. And I'm not a fan of, super commercial style marketing. How we do things is very kind of engineering focused, developer focused. We really just care about matching projects with people that would use them. We really don't like kind of hype driven, vaporware style of marketing. But even that, I was clearly the person with the most commercial goals of anyone that I met. And today, when I look at the ecosystem, I find myself on that, ivory tower academic side of the space now that we've been flooded with people that are here to speculate. And that's no judgment on those people. Those are part of a normal self-interested market pattern. But the things that I'm the most interested in intellectually in our space are coming from that core of people that are academics, that are technologists, that are the people at DevCon more than the people at like,
make an example.
Name the, but yeah, it takes all sorts, and our movement has benefited, I think, from bringing in all of these different factions and groups.
I tend to think of it actually, and I tell products this, I'm curious what your perspective is I tend to tell them you really need to appeal to both the right curve, is how I call it, of the normal distribution curve, which is like the Turin cheat res, the researchers, this kind of ivory tower, or even in a more positive connotation, just like PhD level research engineering focus group, because they need to buy into the legitimacy of the technology of what you're building in order to have that kind of reputation in the space of being like very, very in it for the right reasons and also legitimate. And I tell teams you need to go all the way to the left side of the curve and skip the middle where people kind of care, kind of don't, kind of use a chain, kind of don't, and just go get everybody who's using these products now today or could use them, and you got to get them too. Like this kind of barbell strategy of like very, very intellectually elite or, ivory tower people, and then these people that are much more in the trenches or active participants in the market and using market is kind of how I think about like this like bell curve of projects achieving like a certain level of kind of breaking through a threshold. And so, I mean, I agree that the best ideas and the core of the space is kind of rooted in that ethos. It's sad that we kind of lost it a little bit along the way.
I don't think so. I think that core is strong. I think you just have to look to find it because it's surrounded by shrouds of nonsense. And the nonsense gets killed every cycle.
It does.
Yeah.
It's getting killed right now.
Yeah.
So Libra.
There is a season. There is a season for everything. There is a season for BS, and there is a season in which the BS gets stripped away. Yes. And I relish, both seasons. But if it doesn't make sense, it probably actually just doesn't make sense. And maybe, yeah. And it's probably just going to be there for one cycle. And there may be financial speculative opportunities to do with that thing, but it's not going to be a project that lasts multiple cycles.
One of the things that tweeted that really hit home, kind of hurtful, was he was like, "You're
just playing on there.
You're yapping, but are you saying anything?" Yeah, dude. I'm like, well, Amanda, according to Kaido, in about 90 minutes, there'll be a big yapper airdrop. So I'm not sure if the incentive structures of some of these products are actually incentivizing the right behavior, because you can really just get around with engaging. But yeah, that was just a funny thing that I saw of yours. And I was like, I'm going to interview her. I'm going to ask her. Tweet.
Yeah. So there's this paradigm that I think is interesting to contemplate, which is the API line. And in the future and kind of in the present, some people are helping program APIs. And some people are accepting tasks from applications that are given to them by applications. And I think how you perform in the future as an economic actor is really going to come down to, are you above or below the API line? And if there's some app that's telling you what to say, then are you above or below the API line? And I think Cato is a really interesting tool. We use it with our clients. I think it's super fascinating. But I would never let something tell me what to say, because it's the last thing I have. And I think the people that are shaping thought in our time are not turning to something like that to be told what to say.
No. Yeah. There's a certain level of integrity and also value and genuine authenticity that is escaping us rapidly in this age because of AI, because of deep fakes, because of things. And as you say, this is kind of what we have left.
I think there's really like a K-shaped, there's a really K-shaped kind of distribution, right? There's wire heading. People are just going into the system. People are becoming part of an algorithm. People are playing into their direct incentives. People are optimizing to death. And then the flip side is people that insist on not doing that. People that fight to keep a little bit of, live playerness in the system and not just be coerced from all sides in terms of how they act. Does that make any sense?
It does, but it sounds like you've done a lot of mushrooms, perhaps. Answer that.
Every once in a while, not right now.
No, yeah, that's good. All right, so kind of switching to more of an entrepreneurial, I never really appreciate those perspectives and the way that you think.
Do you agree with that?
I think it's interesting. I think we're basically accelerating. We're like snowballing in the sense where like social media, especially, and like this instant gratification mechanisms from basically validation, from non-human sources, drives people's behavior. And there's effectively what you're saying is you can opt into this, or you can opt out, or you can kind of like play this
something in the middle. Yeah,
and that's probably where you want to be. And if you're just yapping, just for the sake of yapping, without actually saying anything, then you may have less free will than you actually think you have.
That's an interesting formulation.
Yeah. Okay, more on that philosophical note. How did you take your company from leaving solo, taking some of the team with you, You guys have 50 or 100 people now, right?
110.
Yeah. Okay. So I have 10 and it's stressful. So how do we how do you go from 10? Like, what was your process from as a leader going from 10 to 20 and then 20 to 50? And then from there, like, what was your biggest challenges? What did you do well that served you? And any just like key takeaways and yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of virtuosic senior leadership. We've never managed to start a service or product category without first putting in place a really talented senior leader for that service or that product. And then really giving that person a lot of authority and a lot of responsibility in terms of autonomously hiring a team. We decide together what the what is of the objectives, and then they decide themselves on the how they want to accomplish it. And they can always escalate to me. They can escalate to one of the other partners, AJ, Elise, Kara, if they want help. But everyone is pretty autonomous, especially at the senior leadership level in the company. And I really think that in order to grow in terms of personnel, and not every successful company needs to or wants to grow in terms of personnel, especially if they're building scalable technology. But we're in services, so we only grow if we grow in terms of people. And obviously, we're gaining efficiency and productivity from using tools and technologies, but we're also growing in terms of people. So if you are going to do that, if your business benefits from that the way ours does, it's really important to scale trust and to be able to delegate. Because if you concentrate all of the decision-making power in yourself and you're not really willing to let anybody else make a decision, then it doesn't work.
No.
You're never able to scale yourself that much. And I've seen a lot of projects endure that failure mode.
Is that the same framework from 10 to 20 to 20 to 50 and onwards?
Yeah.
More or less?
Yes. And it's just the capacity of senior leaders in the company to actually hire teams and execute against various kinds of goals. We have a very traditional management structure in Sero, where someone who's a director is managing associates, and it's down to the most entry-level junior person in the company. And we have a very crisp org chart and report structure. I've seen other types of companies do it a different way. We work with really novel breakthrough technologies, ideas, concepts, founders, but our own organizational structure in order to best serve that is not newfangled.
Yeah, understood. Very cool. All right, then one more on the entrepreneurship side, and I'd love to talk some more about strategy in today's landscape because I think it's changing rapidly. Can you tell us a story about a time when you perhaps had a breakthrough where you were struggling with something internally or with a client or with an idea, and either you had a large revenue breakthrough as a result of this, or you had a massive breakthrough that led the company to the next stage of growth that like had this idea or this conversation or this meeting or the series of events not happened, you may have not had that breakthrough. Just super curious.
Yeah, a story and a breakthrough.
Redstone is DeFi's modular oracle, supporting over 100 clients on over 50 chains and offering 1,000 assets. Redstone is the leader for Bitcoin staking and yield-bearing assets. They offer the most robust, customizable price feeds available in any model. Join the Redstone exhibition today.
We've been working for a long time on the Serotonin platform. If you go to serotonin.co/platform, it's there. I'm so glad you like it.
I sent it to Robbie. I was like, bro.
I'm so glad you like it. We hired a really wonderful head of product at Serotonin, Michael Williams, and he really taught me kind of discipline about product building. He's really like a scientist in a lab with it, the way he generates a hypothesis, tests the hypothesis. And I'm really impatient. I'm kind of a bull in a china shop. I hear about something on crypto Twitter. Can we build this? How long would that take? No. We're trying this thing. We're iterating this thing. So it's this super discipline. So I think without this person, without meeting this individual, we would not have been able to create what we have. And now that platform is used by almost 10,000 people. And we just launched it a few months ago. It just came out of beta. And so that's been going really well. And we had to iterate a lot of times on the idea. What we wanted to do was like LinkedIn, Twitter. What they started with is the form factor. They started with 280 characters. Or they started with, here's how you do a post. Here's how you connect with people. And then they brought people into their form factor. We did the opposite. We started with a group of people, the Web3 community. We wanted to create a place where those people could connect professionally and socially. And that's not X, and it's not LinkedIn, and it's not any of these places, right? Like X is a place to shout to the rooftops and to get as much reach as possible. LinkedIn is a drop zone of nothingness. But
it's there are other APIs though line. They're
well, some institutions are genuinely on there.
For sure.
Institutions are made of people, and people read it more or less. Certain people. So there's something there, but we wanted to create a social network for Web3 professionals. And then we want to bring that to AI. We want to bring it to biotech. We want to bring it to some other places. And so we tried a lot of things. We tried a lot of formats. And then finally, we figured out that Web3 events are this amazing top of funnel. And so we started with, okay, how do we scrape the web? We hired some interns too, some young humans, and some young machines working together hand in hand to scrape the internet for every single Web3 event. And so we just became the best Web3 events list for every major conference. And then we noticed that people started their own events on there. They would post their own events, even if they were hosting them somewhere else on the platform. And then they would have people RSVP on there. And then that would create this double network effect that wasn't even prompted by us to get more people onto the platform. And then we'd notice people come in through events, and then we can show them the cool social features we built. So once you come to an event, you can see all the other people that came to it. You can see if you have social connections with them in common. You can instantly connect with them on all of your different channels or figure out how you're already connected. You can reach out to somebody really easily. So it's like, and I especially think of this in bear markets, how does our industry, regardless of the amount of capital from outside that is or isn't flowing into it, how can we organize our own internal structure optimally for the right people to meet each other, for the right business interactions to happen, so that when that capital does come from the outside, it's hitting a machine that's really good at doing things?
Yes. And so this has been working extremely well for you guys.
But it only started working extremely well. So I think the catalyst that you wanted, so hiring Michael was the first catalyst, and then realizing that people want an organized way to see events, and that's a great top of funnel to do so much other stuff in Web3, and we have so much else planned for that platform. But, you look at the user growth of that platform, and it looks like this. It looks like...
Yeah, because I signed up to like for that poker event. I was like, I signed up.
Yeah.
They'd never seen this before.
Yeah, so it looked like that, and we had to pay people salaries and be patient for a while without having traction yet.
Right.
And we're really glad that we came out and hoisted up our sail every day because the wind came.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for that story. Okay, now looking for we have a lot of founders, marketers, BD, developers, VCs in our audience, and thinking about brand strategy today in crypto. So there's a lot of external factors that have happened since the original crypto brands were launched, right? The Bitcoins, the Ethereums, they're kind of like the Starbucks, as you said. They're like the Dunkin' Donuts in some way, right? They're like those are like the name brands.
Bitcoin is like Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, sure.
What a world.
Dunkin'. the crypto space runs on Dunkin'. And so that's where we are, right? Like they have reached that. And I would argue like Ripple has, and Solana has, and a couple other like stable coins have hit that level of like world, global acknowledgement to their brands. But many, many, many crypto brands fail to reach even a 10th of that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons. And I think even more so in the last 18 months, the barrier to entry of launching a new token, to raising capital, to launching a chain, to all these things has gone down so much that we just have a lot new, which is great. It's great for us. It's good for business. It's good for the space, competition, experimentation. But it's harder to stand out from all the noise. And there's a lot of noise. So when we're thinking about brand strategy from like first principles perspective, what is the correct mental model, or what is the way that you view building a successful brand that's long lasting in crypto? Maybe we can start from bird's eye view, and then we can kind of like get into some of the more nitty gritty.
I'm going to start from the super bird's eye, which is the ZERP era.
Okay.
The era of zero interest rates, which pre-existed COVID. It lasted for a long time. So when your interest rates are zero, you're creating an incentive to push capital out into the highest risk, highest reward assets, just logically, right? So a lot of money moves into venture firms, and a lot of money moves from venture firms into crypto projects. You look at the level of fundraising in the crypto space in 2021, 2022, off the charts.
This is nuts, yeah.
Off the charts.
We still haven't hit those highs yet.
Well, the capital needed somewhere to go.
Right.
And there aren't that many targets for capital when the interest rate is zero. And so our space it's almost like that stuff is paint. The more paint it gets, the more stuff gets splattered into the world, right? So a lot of stuff got painted into the world. And it might just be more stuff than anybody wants or anybody needs. And I would think first, if you're building something in crypto, is this necessary? Is this something that people need? Is this solving a problem that people have? Or am I just trying to get hype for something, last one cycle, return money to my investors and get out of here and do something else? And if you're in that latter camp, I'm not interested in helping with the brand strategy. I don't want it to be successful. It makes everything worse. And if you are in that first camp, that's where I'm starting. I'm starting with, what is the problem that you're solving? Who are the people that are having that problem? What science or technology breakthrough has made it possible for you to generate this solution that wasn't possible before? Why has no one done it before? Why is the field littered with bodies of companies that tried this before and failed? What are you doing differently from them? And then I look and see, okay, can we package this technology up in a way that conveys what it is really crisply, compellingly to the exact audiences that have this problem? And we start really small. So we start with, who are the early evangelists? Who are the people close to us that are in the target audience for this product? Let's test a hypothesis. Let's go to the science lab. Let's do an essay and see, okay, would you respond to this messaging on this channel? Would you try using this product? Is it sticky? Are you interested in continuing? What's your feedback? And then as it works, you move outward in concentric circles and get more people in looser and looser versions of your target audience group and trying more channels on board. And you measure how well that's going. And that's a product market fit based vision of marketing, where really you're using marketing from the earliest stages to probe for product market fit.
Yep.
And then wherever you're finding traction and early signs of fit, you're doubling down and leaning into those channels while always experimenting around the fringes. I think our space lacks, in many cases, the rigor and the discipline that Web 2 companies have and that non-crypto companies have to try to get product market fit. Reading 0 to 1, reading the Lean Startup, a lot of that stuff is from 15 years ago. It's out of date, but a lot of it is still true. And you can't survive more than one cycle in this space without getting some kind of product market fit. There are some exceptions. There are some exceptions to that. And they're companies that launched ages ago and just had a certain token, and their treasury just increased in value so much that they never have to get product market fit because they have billions of dollars in their treasury.
Funding it at this point.
Yeah, they have so much money in their treasury that they're just going to exist forever, and they're never going to get product market fit. But it's not going to
knows that.
It's not going to matter. And so you look at some of the valuations, and some of these companies raise and they grow into their valuation. It's a thing that happened. But again, back to the ZERP, right? Like, there weren't that many targets for some of this investment. A lot of these companies aren't going to grow into these valuations. They were too high. And so we're seeing a lot of projects with smaller valuations, modest amounts that they've raised, actually really crush it in the market. We're seeing some really positive trends, and I can go into some advice for things like token launches, how projects should structure themselves. But everyone, if you've raised $100 million, if you've raised $1 million, you aren't going to get around having a product market fit based strategy unless you have one of these treasuries with hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, in which case you probably don't need to come to us for marketing because it's not going to work anyway, and you just enjoy. Go to the Caribbean and do whatever you're going to do.
So all of this is orbiting around product market fit as a core concept.
That is the core concept of everything.
Are you filtering projects when they come to you? Because I'm sure you get a lot of inbound. We get a lot of inbound. It's bull markets are crazy. You guys are filtering pretty strongly on like, is this something that we believe in?
We take a lower percent of companies that come to us than I think like Harvard admits in students, although that may be changing. But like, I really think marketing is the art of making possible things happen.
Yeah. You set yourself up for failure if you're trying to make the impossible happen and being the one who's responsible.
The only reason I'm here is because I helped Ethereum come to market, which was always possible, but not inevitable. And I helped accelerate that timeline and make something that was possible because of its technology, because of its community, because of its propensity to drive network effects. I helped make a possible thing happen. And so when we look at potential projects to help market at Serotonin, we think, is there potentially going to be fit for this?
Yeah.
Like, we're scientists, we're in the lab, we're thinking about it this way. If we take this as our hypothesis, if we see this company or this project as our hypothesis, is it a hypothesis worth testing in the market?
Right.
And so we get most of our business from venture funds. And so they've already done their DD, and that lowers our DD burden on that project because we're very kind of judicious about making sure we work with high quality projects. And then when things come over the transom, which is the minority of projects, we do diligence and make sure we think not necessarily that it will work, but it's possible. It could work. And that it's a good founder, good team, that we're interested in it.
Yeah.
And then about a third of our work is institutional.
Yeah, we've adjusted our strategy as well this year such that making more concentrated, longer term bets based on our thesis that we've developed as like technical. We've done hours of these podcasts with founders talking about the lowest level infrastructure stuff, and it's working. And we found the last 18 months more than anything, saying no gets you way closer to the bigger yes that is actually going to be more impactful for your bottom line, for your team, for your reputation, for your brand. And that kind of level of that exclusivity is extremely valuable, I think. And I think teams really respect, like what you just said, I respect that. So I know that teams that are looking to be your customer do as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think that's a very powerful force. Now, you mentioned some of the other cool stuff that's going on with just token launches, go to market, stuff like that. I'll kind of lay the landscape. So we had VC, high FTV, low float, Meta, like about a year ago, it kind of started, and that was really like when it's, in the last 6 months, it was really pushed back against. We went all the way to the other side and just found out that, there was somebody paying the Argentinian president's sister to launch meme coins. Oh. So we're coming somewhere back in the middle, probably in the next year or so, somewhere in the middle between like, VC coins are bad or meme coins are bad. Like somewhere in the middle. We have crowd sales now. We have Echo, Legion, some of these platforms. But again, we have a lot of supply of new tokens on the market. Like you said, there's paint, like freaking paint the whole room. So like, what are you?
Jackson Pollock up in here.
Literally for $10 million, you could paint the whole room with a lot of the future crypto projects, which is sad, but that's a state of.
It's not. It's healthy. It's healthy.
It is.
You got to burn out the dry brush. Otherwise, it's going to be worse.
What is that? Is that
controlled
succession?
Yeah, sometimes like controlled, sort of some of it.
Burn.
Yeah, controlled burn. There, yeah.
Which is what we think we're kind of going through. So when we're looking at new token launches, we're looking at even, coming out of stealth for some projects or branding, digital identity. There's a lot here. Maybe we could just touch on some of your core ideas and tips and thoughts around what makes a successful token launcher, what makes a successful visual, or what makes a successful product launch.
Yeah. So for the token thing, I used to love the ICO era. The good thing about the ICO era was that people would buy your token, and because they have to spend money on it, they obviously care about it, and they're liquid usually immediately, but they wouldn't buy it unless they planned to at least hold it for some period of time. Otherwise, why bother buying it? And those are better buyers. Like if you're putting in money, you're going to be a better holder than someone who's just getting airdropped something without having had to put in money. And you get counterexamples like how well the Uniswap token distribution went, which really started this trend of these big airdrops. But that was distributed to people that had paid a lot of money in transaction fees and tokens. That were sending a lot of volume of transactions through Uniswap. So those people, in a way, had paid in.
They had their skin in the game.
They had paid in. But then everyone copied that model and did these retroactive distributions, which, of course, regulatory arbitrage gets you out of the primary issuer kinds of issues. And so that became really popular. And so now we have airdrop farming. We have a whole kind of rewards points farming industry, which is funny. And the problem is you're giving money to people that are just going to sell it immediately, who have no plans to keep it. And so I think mechanisms that get buy-in from the original holders is going to make for a better cohort of holders. Because at the end of the day, if you distribute a token to people that are going to sell it, the price is going to go down. If you distribute a token to people that are going to hold it, the price is going to be better, right? It's just obvious. It's like, no matter how you cook a piece of meat, if you just put it in fire, it will get cooked. That. Those are just the basic dynamics around it. And so a great way to determine who is interested in your project is who's willing to put money toward it.
Right.
I think Mega ETH did a great job of that with their 1 ETH NFTs, which people got annoyed about it because they were going to have to put money in, but I think that's a mechanism.
They got so much pushback for that, and I thought it was silly. They raised so much money, they obviously don't need the money. It's about the principle.
They did a great job, and I think Echo, Legion, all those things. I think they're doing a great job. I think.
Do you think this is the new thing that people should?
I think this
NFT mints or.
I think anything
contribution based system.
Yeah, I think when you're paying some kind of money to get this thing, you're going to be a better holder than someone who's just getting a free airdrop. And I will stand by that.
And then they have a lot of social capital or expertise in something, not money.
Every project should make their own decisions of who they think should hold their token. And I don't want to make blanket statements about types of people and about types of people and how valuable they are. You can look on chain people's past wallet behavior. Right. Which I'd recommend doing, by the way. If you want to distribute things to good people, look at what they've done in the past. It's transparent in many cases. So some things like advisorships, that's very case by case. Maybe there are 10 of those people, 20 of those people for a project. That's different from, you're an airdrop where suddenly there's 100,000 wallets participating, but you don't get anyone actually that you want in your community. So focus on people putting something at stake, whether it's money, whether having some kind of stake in the project. And then in terms of the token itself, I think making sure that the token captures value in some way, that there's some teeth to the token and the tokenomics is really important. I think the regulatory, and I'm not a lawyer, but I think the regulatory situation in the States is becoming really friendly to innovation and
distribution
and to technology. And to technology. And as long as you're not a rug pull or a scam, and I'm sure you will be, prosecuted if you're one of those things, as long as you're building something genuinely and you attempt to follow the available rules, which are few and far between, looking forward to having more of them. I think you don't have to do crazy linguistic dances around whatever it is that you're offering. You can say what it is, be transparent about it, and try to make sure that whatever you're selling has teeth and is going to benefit the people that buy it. And then get product market fit for
it all comes back there, doesn't it?
Get product market fit for your product. It has to come back to that. It has to come back to that, unless you're a meme coin. And if you're a meme coin and your token is your product, good luck. But the style of marketing that I'm talking about is unrelated to that. Just literally not talking about that. That's a different category than what we play in. And I'm neither condemning nor praising the existence of that category. But the way we do, it's for me personally in some cases. I bought some, but lost a couple hours of my life. Had fun, met some people. Everyone has different things that matter. But we don't market meme coins because how do we do it? You should, if you're making a meme coin, yeah, totally. So yes, that's
okay. So that's the token side. We should come a couple more minutes. What about the individual founders or the social layer of the team? Right. I think you've been speaking about this as well. and maybe it's somewhere in your circle was this idea of like founder-led marketing being the most important.
Yeah.
Because you're a great example there, right?
Thank you.
Like you are Amanda, you associate that with serotonin. It's like boom, click, boom.
Great.
Right. And so like that is, I think, an association that a lot of people want to make because people buy from people, right? Like if you're selling a token, you know, I'm buying from the founder effectively. I'm putting my trust in the project and the product market fit and the numbers, but I'm typically liking the person or like putting some value on this person's credibility and future worth.
I think that's not unique to our space, right? Like there's a reason we talk about Elon, and there's a reason we talk about Sam Altman, and there's a reason.
Correct.
Like if you look at like the WorldCoin price, it's a bit of a referendum on Sam Altman, right? Like remember when his board briefly fired him, the WorldCoin price crashed. And so this is far from, a crypto only phenomenon. It's something that happens in the public capital markets as well. You see it a lot with things going on with Elon and the prices of his various companies. So I think in general, the majority of people have an easier time connecting with a person than connecting with an idea. And no judgment on that, but it's important for founders, if they're capable of doing this, if they're willing to do this, to go out in front of their project and talk about it and be the exponent of it and use their own products, be the kind of person that their product actually serves a need of, understand that target audience, communicate with them directly. You can go on X and test ideas. You can test taglines, you can test brand positioning, you can crowdsource the best way to present yourself. Totally. It's so valuable. And so
Question publicly.
We don't do that for founders. So we don't
like ghostwriter or anything.
But we talk to them about how they're doing it, right? We give them feedback, we give them access to data and resources. But at the end of the day, like there's a reason Trump is doing his own tweets. There's a reason Elon is doing his own tweet.
It has to be authentic.
Yeah. And finding your voice on there, I think, is part of the founder's skill set.
For founders, I've a lot of the ones that is featured, they're like, I just don't have time, or I can't make time, or I can't.
How does Elon have time?
The same.
There's some way he has time.
Elon is ironic to me because I'm like, I don't ever want to be as rich as him, because you get to a certain level where you're like rich like that, you have more problems and more things to worry about than if somebody.
This sounds like some coke. I gotta say, this sounds like some coke.
There's the level where you get to that's like success and you'll have problems that impact the world.
I would be happy to have Elon's level of wealth and success, but I'm unable to achieve it because of my lower confidence than his.
Are they? How you say
it? That's just me, right? Speaking for myself.
Through yourself, through me, through the podcast.
But I hope someday it's otherwise. Like I think he has some vulnerabilities. He's not open sourcing stuff, right? Like right now, there's no one presenting a different version of confidence than that one. I think there's a gap.
Yeah. All right, last take from you, and just kind of wrapping up. What's your current view of the Ethereum culture and social layer? And has it repositioned throughout your experience of 2015, 2016, 2020, 2021, and now where we're at now? We kind of went from like underdog to Bitcoin. We had the Bitcoin maxi versus Ethereum community. Then we kind of came up in like 2020, 2021, we're the best smart contract platform, we're the winners. Now we're like at a point where there's a lot of competition coming, some infighting happening, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Just kind of setting the scape here for you. What's your view, and what's your view of the Ethereum social layer?
I think there are 11,000 crypto Twitter accounts, and those 11,000 people are the only people that are familiar with any kind of struggle going on for the heart and mind of Ethereum. And outside of that, in the institutional world, and it's really institutional buying that moves markets at this point, they have no idea what you're talking about if you mention that battle for hearts and minds. And so I think like Etherealize and groups like that are really smart for going straight to those institutions and having kind of the grown-up conversation. So I applaud that going on over there, and I'm supportive of that effort. I don't think the Ethereum Foundation is the right organization for everything. Like at ConsenSys, I worked on the marketing of Ethereum from ConsenSys, not from the Ethereum Foundation. So that was always a role that was housed inside a for-profit company. I think Etherealize is taking on this role of like institutional BD, which is not a role that the Ethereum Foundation has historically taken on. Ethereum Foundation is focused on the technical roadmap of Ethereum. And I think that's the right focus. I obviously, as a community member, have my opinions on the technology roadmap and the right things to build, right? Like, I'd love to see ZK and full privacy at layer 1. I was anxious about the transition to proof of stake because I liked how a proof of work algo connects the value of the token to something external, like the price of energy. So I've had my own moments with the roadmap. I have my own opinions about it, but at the core, Ethereum Foundation has some brilliant technical minds in it, and they're building against that roadmap. So Ethereum doesn't look like any other community in terms of how that's laid out. Bitcoin has no, official foundation because it has no official. And then you have Solana, which is really viewing it like a business, like a normal business. And it's good that Ethereum has chocolate ice cream and strawberry ice cream next to its vanilla ice cream, as a compare and contrast. It has competition from the left, from something that's less decentralized but lower fee, more scalable. It has competition from the right, from something that really isn't programmable, but has the Lindy effect, and really has a strong meme for being digital gold. And so that competition makes Ethereum better. And I think it also makes Solana better. I think it also makes Bitcoin is what it is. It doesn't do anything to Bitcoin. And I'm happy that Ethereum has those challenges from the left and the right to keep its roadmap in order and to keep on generating the right institutions to advance its position and to keep differentiating.
I think we'll see, as we already have in the market in the last 8 months, Bitcoin's strength due to institutional flows.
Totally.
I think that is what we see with Ethereum soon in terms of like bifurcation of assets in crypto, which have institutional flows and adoption. I think it's something that you'll probably, as you said, a third of your clients are already kind of in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
Founders need to now appeal to institutions more than ever. Your project needs to hit product market fit and needs to be appealing to institutions, I believe, from an investment perspective, from a value creation perspective for them, to actually really reach kind of like the next era of crypto investing for those institutions and for the founders who are leading the products themselves. So, oh man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great week.
You too.
Thank you.